Good morning and happy Wednesday, darling. It is Thursday, less than a week away from Christmas, and the spirit is in the air. I'm at my sister's place, and we have decorated it beautifully. We put up a beautiful tree finally last week, and the lights and um, uh, it's beautiful. The ho 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 sign, and we've been playing the music, and I brought this what I thought. Um, uh, I think so too. My sister wasn't as delighted as I was though, but it's a table runner that I got from Bergamo, Italy, from the market there, and it's a Christmas table runner, and and then we have some beautiful bouquet. You gotta see it. It's something you gotta see. So anyway, today's topic of being rejected, quietly rejected and misunderstood, is partly inspired by an experience I had last night in San Francisco, and a reminder of why being in my lane with my people is so absolutely important, and how easy it is when you're really cultivating your power to be to want to quit, to feel like who you are is wrong, that you're not going to succeed, that you're a freak, and and then that just feeling of not fitting and not knowing your purpose when you're around people who try to pacify you or just try to appease you, but they don't really get you. And then some people who you don't get invited. This has happened with me for years, so I could really. This shows up in so many different ways, and it's nuanced, and it's different in different circles with different demographics and different spaces, and right. But it still shows up as rejection, as not being invited, as unwelcome, as totally being misunderstood, like blank face. So. This is also why it's so important to, for those of you who know that you're meant to be in Europe, for example, because there's so many things going on. But like from yesterday's video, I talked about who the destinations in Europe were for, the quality of people, the quality of consciousness, and the quality of people who I'm gathering to have as like this select group, right? I'm very intentionally having it be like the select group of people who know each other, who have high consciousness, and who are on the leading edge of consciousness, and creating, detailed, curated, opulent spaces for us to be together, for us to enjoy together, for us to eat well together, for us to experience white glove service in places that just stream abundance. The physical environments wake up and activate our DNA, and it's like, versus being in these rooms where it's like, so what do you do? And there's all this compliancy and corporate speak and behavior. So last night, I went to this event called Women in Innovation. And apparently, so when I hear women in innovation, I think women entrepreneurs. So that's my entrepreneur mind, right? I hear women entrepreneurs innovating on the leading edge, changing things, bringing forth things that don't yet exist, right? So apparently, because I've been reading so many different events and web pages, because I've been very active here since I've been here, apparently I misread, because first I went to the wrong address. So, and I was like, nobody was there, and I looked and I'm like, shit, I went to the wrong address. So that tells you I was reading different events and got my addresses mixed up. So the same thing happened here, where I thought I was going to something where there were founders, because I kept asking women in the room who I was meeting, are you a founder? Are you a founder? And after like 15 women, nobody was a founder. I was like, who the fuck is in this room, right? And what it really was, it was more so salespeople, and I met a lot of salespeople last night. A lot of saleswomen who work for Salesforce and who work with IBM. San Francisco, you meet a lot of that, right? You meet a lot of tech people, etc. And so at one point I went up to it was a network, there was the networking before the panel of women. And so I went up to this, and it was a pretty nice event too. It was at One Market Street, which is a nice, it's a, I think it's a landmark destination. It's a big, beautiful office building with lots to do, lots going on. It's right across the street from the Ferry Building in San Francisco, where the ports are to take boats over to Marin and stuff. They had a nice spread of, empanadas and chicken satay and tofu satay and mozzarella and tomato and these tiny sandwiches of brioche and, ricotta and mushrooms and cheeses and salamis and wine and some other things. So it was, there was about, I'd say 100, maybe 100 women there. Yeah, or more. Yeah, about 100 women. So at one point, and there was a lot of tabletops, like a bar tabletops spread throughout the place. And at one point I went up to this group of women. There were 4 women. And, just introduce myself, meet them, who they are, and come to find out, if I'm remembering correctly, it was like half of them worked for Salesforce and half of them worked for IBM. Like, there were several people who worked for Salesforce and IBM there. And there were people on the panel. So I think what happened was, like, the whole company, or, large chunks of different departments were encouraged to come to this event. So I think that's how it ended up like that. And so I was the only black woman. The only other black woman who was there was a woman on the panel who had been with IBM for 16 years. So I saw her on the panel, and that's how I found out she was with IBM and that she had been with IBM for 16 years. And she and I were the only black women there. I mean, that's, typical in San Francisco, unless it's a black specific event. And so I'm at this table. There's 4 of them, and then I come, and we introduce ourselves, and that's how I find out that half of them are with IBM and half of them are with Salesforce. And so I ask, are any of you founders, right? Because keep in mind, I'm thinking this is a founder event with women entrepreneurs. The name of the event is called Women in Innovation. And I'm thinking this is women leaders, women entrepreneurs, right? So they're like, no. And this is after I had already asked about 10 other women, were they founders? And all of them said no. I mean, there were engineers in the room. There were, other salespeople, and like one woman said she was a cloud analyst or something like all these like tech engineering type, right? And then sales, right? Because you got to have your sales. If you don't have sales, you're not in business, right? And so they're like, no. And at this point, I'm like, what in God's name? So this group of women, I ended up speaking with longer than any other, because everybody else I spoke to, like maybe 1 woman or 2 women. 4 women I spoke to earlier for just a short time, but these women we were talking for like maybe 7 minutes, and that was a long time, right? And we're talking, and they're asking me, are you a founder? Yeah. What do you do? So I'm like, yeah, I curate and host these high-end experiences around the world for women on the leading edge of consciousness who are changing the world. Accomplished. And there's this dialogue going back and forth, and I could sense, and I'm ready to go now, because I can sense that they're trying to be nice. Oh, so that sounds really nice. So, and how many times have you been in a room or with family or anywhere, and keep in mind, I'm not a lightweight. I'm not like trying to deliver my elevator speech, and I'm not who I was 5 years ago, right? So I'm giving it. This is what I'm about, and I'm me, right? I'm out there in the world. You gotta understand, when you're out there in the world and you're on the leading edge and you're birthing new things and you're an accomplished woman and you're confident, people have reactions to you, and they don't even realize how much the reactions are speaking And this one woman is like looking at me, and she's like, out of the four, one of them is looking at me, and it's almost like she can't even, she's trying her hardest to even be present. She's like squinting, like, and this is not like she can't see. Because at one point, when I look away from her, her eyes open and she look, but then when I look, it's like, it's like I'm too bright for her, and right? And then I'm like, and then the one to the right of me is like, so what was the seed for the idea? She was the one person who seemed to ask a genuine question from genuine curiosity. Then there was a woman of color who I might say, she looked like she might have been from Indonesia or something like that, who was next to her. And she was just, shaking her head the whole time, not saying a word. When people just try to appease you because you're standing there, and they would be very happy if you walked away. And so right as I was about to walk away, the host spoke from the microphone in the front of the room and asked everybody if they could start finding their seats because the panel is going to get started in 5 minutes. And I remember leaving there thinking to myself, fuck, this is why you don't go to the wrong room, the wrong events. This is why you go around your people. This is why it's important that I make space for my people. This is why I curate the world that I curate, because I and the woman who I serve, we're something else. Like, there's so many rooms that we literally should not be in, do not belong in, where we are unwelcome, where people, they were being nice, right? They were being nice. It was fake nice, but they were being nice. There are other places I've been in where everybody else is invited to like an after thing or a certain circle or a certain conversation, and I'm not invited. There have been times over the last, I'd say 3 years, because remember yesterday I talked about there's levels to this. Like, when you're in the shadow about your power, things come off of you, but and people feel a kind of repel about you, but they can't figure you out because you haven't declared who you are. So they make up stories until you declare who you are. Then they can know as a matter of fact. You see? So I'm in a matter of fact place. Like, there's no hiding about who I am. I declare it. I speak it. I am it. So when I walk into a room, people are just like, right? Because even one of the women who I talked to, I said, she was actually the first group of women who I spoke to when I walked through the doors. And she was like, why are you here? I said, because I'm a woman of innovation. She's like, yeah, I can tell. And we hadn't even spoken. What she was picking up on was the what I was emanating. And so this is why I'm curating the community that I'm curating. This is why I avoid typical women entrepreneur events, because you get all of these nice women who have not yet created success in whatever it is, particularly in entrepreneurship. They have not created success in entrepreneurship. They don't know who they are. So they, it's just that there's no backbone in their conversation. There's no strength in their conversation. There's no direction. There's no leadership in their conversation. I'm getting my sister's car clean. They're bringing it out to the front to finish it up. So there's no, as with practically every woman who I spoke with, admittedly, there were two that I felt power coming from. Two, and the black woman who was on the stage. Out of all the women I spoke to last night, there were two women who I felt some power from, and the black woman who was coming from the stage. I said, yes, girl, represent. And so, but there was one woman who was a woman of color, because this was a primarily white room. This woman of color, and this was the first group of women who I spoke to when I walked in. There were 4 of them, and it was a woman of color. It might have been 2. Might have been one to my left, one to my right, and then the other 2 were white, I think. But the other woman was a white woman. She was a more mature white woman. She had children. Because I would say this was a younger room. I would say most of the women in here were between 25 and 38, some like 40, right? This was a younger room. And this woman was clearly over 40. She looked good. She was youthful. And I just felt power from her. And this is the woman who said, when I said I'm a woman of innovation, she said, I can tell. But the point is, there's a power when a woman knows why she's here. Like when this white woman spoke to me and I said to her, my desire for women, she was like, exactly. She was on the beat. And she was like, this is how I talk to my daughter. And, she talked about this while she was on the panel. And there's a kind of power that a woman speaks with when she's of knowing who she is and she has purpose and she knows what she's doing. But when you're in these rooms where the majority of women are searching for themselves. And I'm not saying that I'm done and I'm finished and I got it all figured out, but there's a level of knowing about oneself. And when you go to these events where it's like a women entrepreneur event, and where women come to be empowered to, you see all these events all over the United States. Most of them don't have enough backbone. Most of them don't have enough conviction. Most of them don't have enough wholeness of self to declare who they are, to debate with you without getting their feelings hurt, without, holding who they are, without making you wrong and bad and the devil, because when you know who you are and you have cultivated the virtues of power, compassion, truth, love, integrity, highness, you have navigated your shadow. You're really here solid on planet Earth, and there's not like half of you here and half of you wanting to be somewhere else. You can really stand in all things. You can stand in your purpose. You can stand in your voice. You can stand in your conviction. You can stand in what it is that you have to do. You can stand in trouble. You can stand in opposition. You can stand in storms. You can stand in lies. You can stand through the swirling and the turbulence of life. But when you're the typical woman entrepreneur, this is why I'm constantly like, I'm not for everybody, and I'm not here for the typical woman entrepreneur. I'm here for the woman of power who wants to be among the women of power, who is of wholeness of herself enough to deal with all things, no matter how she feels. I was listening to TD Jakes yesterday, and he said, if you live life based on your feelings, you will die, because feelings are fleeting. You can feel down and out today, and you can feel up and high and abundant tomorrow. And if you make your decision about your future based on that low place, you goes nowhere. So that's why this conviction and this wholeness of self and that speaking and like, I want to feel it in your walk. I want to see you walk down the street and say, girl, get it. I want to see you speak and know that you know who you are. I remember I did a Zoom earlier this year, and there were about 9 or 11 women on the Zoom, and I only knew maybe two or three of them I knew on the Zoom. They were all from around the world, and I was there to talk to them about some opportunities. And one of the women, we ended up talking more later. Like, there was resonance. She was like, let's talk some more, and we ended up meeting in person. And we got together, and I asked her about, why she said yes and why she moved forward. She said, because as soon as you came on camera, on Zoom, right? Because I don't know if you know how Zoom works, but it was camera, so everybody could see each other. So it was a grid of 11 women on the grid. I was part of the grid, and so everybody could see each other. And she was like, I asked her why she said yes to moving forward. She said, because as soon as you showed up on the camera, you were clear. You were clear. I knew who you were. You were confident. And see, when you're looking for people to invest in you with money, with time, with respect, even if they're not saying anything, there are people watching you who you don't even know are watching you. They're watching, okay? I've had people contact me, be like, I've been watching you for 3 years, and I had no idea. 3, 4, 5 years, and I had no idea. When you show up and you're true, and true doesn't mean like even the way I'm showing up right now. True could mean like you show up and you're like, I feel like shit today. True could mean you show up and be like, I'm pissed the fuck off today because blah, blah, blah. True doesn't always mean that you're solid and grounded and you, right? Sometimes you got a wobbly day, but at your foundation. See, that's what I mean. When your foundation is correct, when your values are correct, when you know who you are, you can have a bad day and it's just another day. And then you're grateful for the bad day. Like that young lady, that black Olympian who just crushed the Olympics a few years ago. I can't remember her name, but she said, I love bad days. Bad days are when champions are made. I love bad days. Because see, the weak ones, the ones who don't have foundation, they have a bad day and oh God, they're failures, they're not gonna make it. I just can't, they're on the verge of quitting. Champions have a bad day and they tap into that reservoir, you tap into that reservoir to say, this is mine, right? You willing to go to war with the goddamn devil. I just told the devil yesterday, bitch, you don't know who you fucking with, okay? And actually, the devil does know who he's fucking with. That's why he really comes hard after us strong ones. He comes so fucking hard after us. I told that bitch, listen at this, because I made a decision. I haven't even told you guys, and I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to show you the decision that I've made. I said, bitch, you don't know. Listen, come for me, bitch. We fighting. See, and when you got that foundation and you're convicted, you've made a decision, let them come. Let all them motherfuckers come. They getting beat the fuck down. And it's not even fighting them directly. It's called fighting without fighting. It's being convicted in who you are. And that's I went to go see a spiritual advisor maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and that's what came out of it for me, was fighting without fighting, right? This is a new level of highness, right? Because the typical warrior consciousness that's being taught right now in a lot of these women's circles is about a sword and, right? We're talking about a different kind of fighting, okay? Listen, I really have to go to the bathroom. I will be back here. Listen, post me comments if you have questions. I want to reiterate, there's a lot going on. So let me gather my thoughts about these things that I have to offer you. One, tomorrow's the last day. I still have one more spot for a virtual VIP day private. This is my last one. This is the last one ever. I'm done doing virtual VIP days. Tomorrow's the last day. I had 3 of those. I have 1 left. The regular price is $7,500. It's going for $3,000 because it's like blowout, end of year, Christmas, finish, off the menu, okay? And as I discussed yesterday, we will be in Europe, Saint-Tropez. This is for the few that I talked about yesterday. Saint-Tropez and Positano next year. It's invite only. Invite only, invite only. We're talking about superior opulence with a small group, about 8 to 10 women, round table for 2 days, coming in from around the world to discuss business, to discuss our level of consciousness, what we're bringing to the world, what our challenges are that we're excited to find solutions to, who we're becoming, marketing strategies, unique ways of speaking and reaching the audiences in ways that are right for us and that will reach our people. I'm really basking in the beauty of these places. Saint-Tropez is, it's one of the most beautiful places. I'm talking about places that emit wealth. I'm intentionally having us immerse ourselves in places that emit wealth, that the frequency, it just starts to wake up, because a lot of us are walking around with our powers much more dormant. Oftentimes, for those of us who have it in our DNA, right? You got to know yourself to know this. I'm somebody whose DNA is activated when I'm in opulent places. It is so, there's an aliveness, there's a creativity, there's a spark, there's a cultivation of life force energy that happens for me when I'm in opulent places. So that's one of the reasons why I intentionally choose these high wealth places, because people who are attracted to me are activated by the same things as well. So we're going to be in the opulence of Saint-Tropez, the opulence of Positano, and there will be more places to be announced as time moves on. However, for now, if you are not already on my email list and you want to, first of all, if you're on my list, shoot me an email. You can reply to the emails that you receive from me and let me know that you want an invitation and you want to discuss being a part of the 8 to 10, the few, in Saint-Tropez or Positano next year. If you are not already on my email list, beneath this video, there's a link for you to opt into my email list. And my email address is also there. So if you have questions, if you are, that's the contact information, okay? So 2019, I can feel, and I really got to go to the bathroom. I want more time here with you. So I'll be back here tomorrow, but I want to say for 2019, and tomorrow I'll be broadcasting from the opulent Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco. I have a VIP day with a client tomorrow. The Fairmont Hotel is anyway, the opulence is gorgeous, so I'll get a chance to share that with you tomorrow, same time, 9 a.m. Pacific. But 2019, I can really feel, for those of us who have had a difficult year with really cultivating our consciousness and coming into the power of who we are, For those of us who have had a difficult year and have claimed stepping into highness for the new year, there's so much for you. There's a lot here for you. So if you resonate, just be in touch, okay? Lots of love. I'll be back here tomorrow broadcasting from the Fairmont. Lots of love. Bye-bye.